Hello everyone! After doing a video reviewing the evolution of Narn and human ships, I thought it would be interesting to analyze the evolution of Minbari ships. Compared to the other younger races besides the Vree, they were able to get their hands on advanced technology at an early stage of space travel, which helped propel themselves as an advanced society with ease. A great portion of technology that we would connect to being an advanced race in the Babylon 5 universe, such as gravitational devices, hyperspace travel, and advanced weaponry, were given as gifts to the Minbari by their mentor, who were the Vorlons. The Vorlons took an interest in the Minbari people at an early stage in their development, and through trial and error they slowly developed a race that could be a worthy ally against their true enemy, the Shadows. Even though the Minbari were able to skip a long period of time of slowly advancing their technology, they had to face a greater threat, which were the other first ones. To match their strength, the Minbari had to build a big powerful ship that could hold its own for a time against the others, which the Shadows learned during the First War. The main vessel during this conflict was a clasher ship called the Tinash-Haza War Cruiser, or will be later known as the Tinashi Class Frigate. This ship already had a gravitic engine, a stealth device, and powerful weapons such as a gravitic neutron cannon, making this vessel perfect for most missions needed from the Minbari. A lot of time went into this ship, which was the reason why it stayed into service 500 to 600 years after the first Shadow War, and also the reason why there were still modified versions during the Earth-Minbari War. Besides their engines producing gravity, what really helped the Minbari was a neutron cannon. This cannon marked one of the most impactful times during their weapon's history. It's equipped on major vessels and is still in use after the war against the humans. In the early stages of Minbari space travel, they used a weapon called the molecular disruptor, which disrupts the cohesion between the molecules, which tears an object at the atomic level. This weapon is short range compared to the other weapons used by the Minbari, and the recharge time is higher than more modern weapons used. In the Minbari current navy, only a few vessels are equipped with a molecular disruptor. During the Minbari's first war against the Shadows, they used a fighter called the Traga. This vessel was described as a medium fighter, but due to its outdated weapons and equipment, this fighter was destroyed in large numbers when facing against Shadow squadrons. After the war, the Minbari developed and launched a fighter that was better equipped to fight a force like the Shadows. The fighter had better maneuverability and weapons for its time, making it great at dogfights. But what really helped separate this vessel from its predecessor was the ship's design. This design was admired to such a degree that it heavily influenced future Minbari vessels. Throughout the 1,000 years of isolation from the younger races, the Minbari have created an array of different ships with better technology. Even though the majority of their technology were from the Vorlons, the Minbari have improved their tech over the centuries, making it smaller and more powerful. During those years, the Minbari started to build specialized ships for different missions, and one of these ships were the Rogata tug. This vessel was classified as a support ship, and its main purpose was to move heavy equipment by using an advanced tractor beam. Even though the ship was used to repair and build bases, its weapons and maneuverability allowed it to fight relatively well by using a plasma net. The plasma net was the Minbari's attempt to create a device that can control the movement of other ships by using a gravitic force and plasma. This device can push, pull, or shove other ships, and the amount of damage it can cause depends on the user. The plasma net did not meet up to standards due to its lack of long range, making this device more of a secondary weapon. Just like other factions within the Babylon 5 universe, the Minbari realized the possibility of having to send out large flagships for every situation could spread out their resources out too thin and open themselves up to attack. To avoid this issue, the Minbari constructed the Traga class attack cruiser. This vessel was a non-scout ship and was intended to solve issues that did not require a large vessel to solve. Due to its power, the vessel was able to take control of its surrounding area. To achieve this, the Minbari added small advanced equipment to this vessel, and due to the ship's size, they made sure it was highly maneuverable. For defense, they added a squadron of fighters. Eventually, the Tishat Medium Fighter was starting to get outdated, which led to the development of the now heavy fighter. This vessel was fast, agile, and heavily armed. It's also heavily armored as well, which reduced its maneuverability, and due to this reason a few Minbari warriors still use the Tishat. The main idea behind the Nile was to develop a ship that can take on any fighter. It's unknown if vessels like the Morshin Carrier was developed before the Shadow War, but if it did, the carrier would have been highly modified to stay up to date. The likely answer to this question is that the ship was developed after the Shadow War, since around 400 to 600 years after the war, the Minbari started to update their fleet with newer ships. During this time frame, the Minbari introduced vessels that were better designed, such as the Nile Heavy Fighter and the Sharlin, which will replace the Tinash-Haza War Cruiser. The Sharlin was bigger than the Tinash and possessed better equipment. Due to the size of the vessel and the miniaturized of their technology due to their advancements, the Sharlin was able to fit more crew members within their ship, including fighters as well. This vessel was designed to bring fear to their enemies and show the strength of the Minbari. The veterans of the Earth Minbari War still have nightmares on how the Sharlin ripped through their forces. The Minbari were able to accomplish this by using sensor jammers and evenly placing fusion lasers throughout their ship. Few enemy vessels were able to get close enough before getting destroyed. The Sharlin quickly became the symbol of Minbari power and is still in service after the creation of the Interstellar Alliance. The bigger version of the Sharlin was built to be the flagship of the entire fleet. This vessel was 25% bigger than the Sharlin and possessed additional weapons and armor. The ship was called the Shargoti Battle Cruiser. Technically this vessel was a dreadnought, but the Minbari needed a ship that could hold their leaders during war. Of course, this did not include the Great Council, since they try not to bring attention to themselves to avoid being targets. The leaders of the warrior caste are different. They prefer to show their power by commanding the strongest ship within their fleet that can only be destroyed by other first ones. The Shargoti rarely saw combat during the Earth Minbari War, but during the conflict the Minbari warriors were impressed with another ship which wasn't their own, called the Nova Dreadnought. This vessel was equipped with powerful short-range weapons that could bring major damage to Minbari's ships. A faction of the warrior caste tried to build a Minbari version of the Dreadnought after the war, called the Neshatan class. The ship was extremely powerful, but the system would be overstressed due to its weapons. Even though the ship's design was promising, the Minbari eventually stopped building the vessel and the remaining ones were destroyed during the war against the Shadows. Throughout the evolution of Minbari ships, they prefer to have vessels that were equipped with long-range weapons. The Minbari built specialized smaller ships after the war against the Shadows, but they rarely saw combat. They prefer to use war cruisers instead. The Minbari were always slow when it came to changing their ways, which sometimes hindered their development of newer ships. It was stated the Minbari did possess organic technology, but if they did, it was probably a gift from the Vorlons. What's your thoughts about the evolution of Minbari ships, and which ship is your favorite? If you enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe, and don't forget to click on the notification button to keep yourself updated with my channel. Please check out these other two videos displayed on the screen if you enjoyed this one. If you want more sci-fi content, then please check out my socials. Thank you for watching Utopian broadcast, and I'll see you next time on my channel. Thank you.